What's going on, fuckers? It's your boy Nick from OnlyRantz here, and today me and Jack are bringing you a video on the current standing of Marvel Rivals. It's no secret that the hero fighter slash shooter, released in December of 2024, spread like a wildfire amongst the gaming community, making waves with casual fans, streamers, and sweats alike. What we're going to be talking about today are some of the glaring issues with the game itself, from the development team to the matchmaking system, from the player count drop to the various queues that somebody can get put in. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment letting us know what you liked about the video. Beginning with our opening arguments, I'd like to start the video by talking about the matchmaking system being used in the game itself. Engagement-based matchmaking, according to the source PubNub, is a matchmaking system designed to maximize engagement or retention by prioritizing factors like player churn risk, win streaks, and playtime. Differing from skill-based matchmaking, which focuses on skill level and fairness in a hero shooter, the algorithm aims to essentially keep people engaged for long periods of time, actively chasing a better win streak. It is very heavily rumored that Marvel Rivals actually uses this system for both their ranked matchmaking and quick matchmaking, and what this means for the player is that their win/loss streak is constantly being tracked, the game adjusting your matchmaking as you continue to play in response to your performance. With all things considered, I personally think the game is almost perfect. There's iconic characters, genuinely engaging and amazing gameplay with a community that, while semi-toxic, is fun to be around and play with, but as much as there are reasons to keep playing the game, it seems like the system is actively working against the player. Winning streaks for a period feel great. There's no other way to say it. When you and your squad is actively wiping out entire teams and getting win after win, it's a good day on Rivals, but you're often put up against abysmally terrible opponents, and while in the same rank, they may be low level. I personally have come across numerous matches with my group of friends where the names seem a little too off to be real people. For instance, a first initial and last name. I wouldn't say it's too far off to assume the game is actively putting you against bots to keep you engaged, especially when going on a heavy loss streak. These players fill the entire team and all of their profiles are restricted for the most part. You cannot see their battle history, stats, or anything. The emotions flowing in from constantly going up against the actual Avengers only to get put up against bots and wipe an entire team is anything but healthy. The system plays on the players' emotions to keep them chasing wins, and the best way I could phrase it in a way that shows just how awful this system is that it's as if you're selling crack and you tell your regular crackhead who's fiending for a hit that he can get his fix, but not today, or that he has to come back in 8 hours. Obviously, that fiend is going to go to someone else, like a player going to another video game, for their fix, opting to just get on something else instead of dealing with the bullshit that the developers are putting the players through on Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. Alright, we're about to hop into this shit right now. What is going on, guys? This is Jack coming in from OnlyRantz, and this is going to be my section where I will be diving into more of the prevalent issues regarding Marvel Rivals. As mentioned by Nick, one of the most dominant issues in the game is the usage of EBMM, engagement-based matchmaking, and so what I want to dive into are the issues that stem from what EBMM is causing, like a chain reaction if you want to call it that. And one of these recent occurrences from people being sick of EBMM is a very noticeable drop in the player count for the game, as the game has been seeing a continuous drop in active players since the release back in December. Marvel Rivals had an all-time high player count of around 650,000 players in January. To give you a comparison as to how big this number really is, Overwatch 1 had an all-time peak of just around 634,000. Marvel Rivals had an all-time peak that was higher than not only one of the most popular shooter games to come out, but what many people like to call one of the greatest video games of all time. It is important to note, though, that this is only counting Steam players, as console players' counts are a little bit more tedious to keep track of and always fluctuate more severely than Steam. But the fact that Marvel Rivals period was able to get such an all-time high showcased just how many people were loving this game and the clear passion put into it behind the devs. However, if you look at the game now, the game has seen a very significant drop. At the time of this going up, Marvel Rivals has now gone to having just a little over 127,000 active players. Barely a fifth of the player count from January. And one of the reasons for this drop is the player base growing tired of the matchmaking in this game and its inherently toxic nature. When EBMM works in your favor, sure, it keeps you engaged because you want to keep whatever win streak you have going, but then there's the more negative side of it, and the side that is more prevalent with the player base. And to give you an idea of what it is, just imagine this. Imagine you're going on a 3-game loss streak, right? And those losses make you continuously keep playing because you do not want to end up on a loss, but as the matchmaking continues to just butt-fuck you nonstop, the game is keeping you engaged, but it's the wrong type of engagement you want. The more losses you keep racking up, the more you want to keep playing because you don't want to end on that loss streak, but the more you keep playing it, the more the matchmaking just keeps fucking you over until it finally culminates in a good side where, you know what, maybe you finally get that win. Or you rage quit, keeping that loss streak in your record. It's easy to see that when a mass majority of the player base is finding themselves in this continuous loop of losing due to a matchmaking that's not only flawed, but is almost completely out of their control, they don't want to stay on a game that's basically punishing them for playing. So guess what happens? They leave and don't want to come back because in the end, it's just not worth the stress. Just because of EBMM alone, we already have people leaving the game at a very, very high rate. And we haven't even begun discussing both the recent situation that was the support strike, which happened fairly recently at the end of April, leading into May, along with the queues you could be hit with while playing the game. Firstly, we're going to go over the support strike. At the end of April, supports went on a strike by not only playing any support players whatsoever, but they also decided to just only stick with either DPS or tank. And while it's hard to pinpoint which specific reason they had for the strike, there are two reasons that could be called onto. One reason is the nature of how the rank system works in Marvel Rivals, as leveling up in rank is dictated by KOs or your final hits. But the main issue with this type of progression is that a support is not meant to rack up kills or final hits. They are meant to keep the team alive along with, newsflash, support in the form of healing or providing means to take decreased damage and providing longevity to win the game. However, as I mentioned, the rank system doesn't take assists or healing in consideration with ranking up, so supports are basically getting fucked over for doing their job, and that leads into the second point, the toxic DPS and tank players. This is more of the reason that I would say as to why supports have stopped with playing support and keeping the strike going, because as we all know, we run into those teams that want to hog up DPS or tank and leave the team with either no healers or, ironically enough, in a worst case scenario, a single support that's effectively acting as the entire backbone for the team. And guess what? Newsflash, the team doesn't get enough sufficient heals because the support is trying to effectively keep control over the entire team all by themselves, literally a one-man army for the team. And guess what happens? They blame the support, they start to verbally lynch them, so the supports are not only at this point getting fucked by the game, but they're getting degraded by their own teammates. And so, it didn't take long for the supports to start biting back at them and launching the strike to both tell the devs to give them something more to work with so they can get up and ranked, along with basically telling the teammates to go fuck themselves. Now, at the time of me writing this, the strike has been getting somewhat resolved recently by the devs acknowledging the struggles that supports are dealing with when they try to go up in ranks, so they got damage buffs to help them mitigate the issue. But the team side is kinda up in the air as to whether it's being resolved or not. From what I've seen, I'll still see a toxic DPS player here and there talking about no heals when they're out of the healer's range, trying to farm kills, bonus points on top of that if they're playing Spider-Man or any dive character for that matter. However, I have seen less of these toxic DPSs, but it still does happen here and there. Finally, though, we are going to be talking about the most glaring problem people have been running into with the game, the bread and butter as to why people are leaving the game, and what is coinciding with the issue that EBMM presents, the queues. Queuing in this game brings you several different types of lobbies that either have you facing people who are just straight up bad at the game, bot lobbies, or lobbies that put you up against the Avengers / the Smurfing lobbies. Bot lobbies are self-explanatory. They're lobbies that put you against a team that doesn't even have any real players and is rather composed entirely out of bots. It's easy to tell when you run into these lobbies because when you're done steamrolling through them, you can go and check in recent history to look at the profiles, and once you do, you'll notice that not only are all of them on PC, but their careers are privatized every single time. Hell, sometimes when you're playing against them, you'll even notice in kill cams that they either auto-track you or are going to perfectly predict where you're going to be when moving around a corner. They're essentially walling you. Now, while this is an issue, it's nowhere near as bad as the other type of lobby that's been running rampant in this game, the smurfing lobbies. For those who don't know what smurfing is the act of you creating another account to get into lower rank lobbies, while you yourself are on a far higher rank than the rest of the lobby on your main account. You become a big fish in a small pond, and this creates the obvious issue of someone who's trying to get into the game, who's starting out in bronze, for example, getting absolutely steamrolled by another player that's smurfing, and when they're on their main, they're in Grandmaster or some shit like that. It's also crazy to say this, but smurfing got so bad in this game that in a recent patch, the devs have now even given you the option of reporting someone that you suspect of smurfing. And while this has definitely brought the smurfing problem down by some decent margins, not only will you still run into them here and there, but the fact it got so bad that even the devs had to give us tools to counter them goes to show how ridiculous the queues are in this game, because it's the EBMM that will put you into these types of lobbies to constantly keep you engaged, whether out of satisfaction of going on a win streak or trying to end your loss streak because you're fighting an accurate depiction of the Avengers. I mean, fuck. Just recently, I ran into someone that literally had them admitting to smurfing in their name. And while I decided to take a break from the game, I come back to then run into another batch of lobbies where the EBMM system destroyed my matchmaking and once again put me up against the Avengers. And the worst part is, these are very fixable issues. All of this can be solved by implementing a better matchmaking system, and a better system to use would be skill-based matchmaking, where instead of the game focusing on keeping you engaged by fucking you in the ass with queuing you against Cloud9, it actually focuses on whatever your stats are that are closer to representing your skill in the game, like KD and a win rate rather than a win streak, and thus it will put you up against those types of similar skilled players, along with putting skilled players on your team as well. But until these issues get properly fixed, chances are this game is going to continuously keep falling until something picks it back up. Alright, I'm done bitching. Nick, you take the wheel again.
The addition of a ban phase into gold, while a good idea in theory, has shown to be more of a problem than anything. People hard-locked in silver and bronze are sometimes subject to smurfs using their mains, influencing their decision to ban certain heroes once they get up to gold 3. I personally believe ban phases should be allowed for ranks gold 1 and up, and when the matchmaking is finally fixed from this disgustingly trash EOMM system, they should also put you in lobbies with people of equal rank. There is no reason that in the game, as you're about to rank up to platinum, you get a silver on your team and avoid a ban phase. To my previous topic of throw picks, let's put a scenario into perspective. Maybe 5,000 people on this game with a somewhat active player base compared to what it used to be are actually good at playing Hulk. Some new player keeps going up against Sweat Hulks due to this terrible matchmaking system in the early ranks, and instead of banning Namor, who has a much higher kill potential than Banner, they'll opt to ban Hulk, throwing the vote off balance if everyone doesn't agree. One thing I'd like to mention about ban phases is that sometimes it will deviate from the majority vote, opting to pick a character that literally one person voted for. All I have to say to that is what the fuck. Another example would be my favorite character to ban, Scarlet Witch. I may be biased as a Spidey Lord, but until you get up to a high gold or platinum, chances are you're not going to get many good Spider-Mans. People are learning how to use him and he takes a lot of skill. Instead of banning him, that ban would be better used on a brainless character like Wanda, who can drop 50 by just holding R2 or the right trigger, disappearing, and using slow fall while holding R2. Marvel Rivals is in some deep shit. They fired their American staff, rely on a matchmaking system that plays on their fan base's emotions, and is actively encouraging players to stop playing their game due to this. Given how good of a game it actually is, it's a shame to see it in this state, as I personally love it. It's one of the best games I've played in a very long time. This was Nick from OnlyRantz, and I'm passing it off to Jack. Later, dickheads.
Alright, I'm taking the wheel again. Hello everybody, this is Jack from OnlyRantz once again, and to summarize everything up, we talked about the ongoing support strike, the idea behind EBMM and how it's taking a negative effect on the game experience as a whole, the queuing stemming from the EBMM, and just overall what has been happening with this game and what the devs need to do to fix it, because we are truly under the belief that if they do not fix the issues with this game going on right now, this game is unfortunately going to die off, which me and my boy Nick do not want to have happen, because we truly do love this game. It's just being ruined by a very flawed, inherently unbalanced matchmaking system. We hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and peace.